The movie starts off with an image of childhood, where Elsa and Anna have no cares or worries. All they do is enjoy life, enjoy each other's company, and everything seems to be good in the world. At a young age, Elsa discovers her ability to bring shapes of frozen water into being. It becomes a source of her joy, a joy that she shares with others, and especially her sister, the person that was closest to her heart. She loves her sister, so she wants her to be happy and safe. This first image shows the way that we start off at the beginning of our lives. Everything seems to be fine until it isn't anymore. Until we realize we have a strange power inside. As a child, this power of getting what you want seems to be magical. Sometimes we abuse it and test its limits, like when we ask our parents for things that we want. But we also become more conscious about the fact that we are not the center of the universe, and that power of getting what we want can influence the ones around us, and this affects us particularly when we end up hurting those around us. This stepping stone in one's growing up process is shown in the simple image of Elsa hurting her sister with her magical powers. From then on, she starts associating her power with danger. She no longer knows the joy of sharing who she truly is with those around her. She puts on a mask of calm in order to maintain an outward peace and covers that which she truly feels deep inside. From then on, she becomes frozen. But you will soon learn that when you try to avoid conflict for the sake of peace, you will start a war within yourself. She receives her gloves as a sign that she can no longer show her true self to others. Whenever she took them off, she would do something that could end up hurting those around her, so the choice was clear. Never take them off, conceal, don't feel. The door to her room was closed so that she could not hurt the person she loved the most, her sister. Yet, although she did not hurt her outwardly, Elsa will leave a scar on Anna's life that would make her vulnerable later on, and in the end, she still ends up putting her sister in danger, with or without her magical powers. Therefore, Elsa could not avoid the fear of hurting the ones she loves in any case. It was not her powers that hurt her sister, but a misunderstanding regarding her power that caused all the sorrow in her life. As a child, she never understood what she did wrong. As a child, she was proud of who she was, proud of her abilities and uniqueness. But then, just like in real life, outside forces come to tell you otherwise. It could be colleagues that make fun of you, parents that can't truly understand you, teachers that bring you down, or a society that makes you believe you need to fit in order for you to be worthy of living. That is the inner struggle Elsa was facing, and she never had the courage to think otherwise than what those outside forces would tell her. She had to take the gloves, and she had to hide her true self from everyone else. But as time went by, events came to help. The tragic event of the parents dying marked the beginning of adulthood for both sisters. From then on, they didn't have someone to care for them and tell them it will all be fine. They now faced the big world, which seemed frozen for Elsa and lonely for Anna. And even if the death of their parents might have been the greatest suffering they experienced thus far, it was an event that came to their aid. It's like there's a mountain that we need to climb, and if we stay at the bottom of it, hiding in a tree, the branches will have to break, sooner or later. With the death of their parents, the branch broke, and Elsa is now forced to climb up the mountain. Depending on the type of our resistance, we will experience different degrees of suffering that will help open that door to who we truly are. We always have our choice to resist the change or to open the door and face the consequences that come with all that which is called life. The time came in Elsa's life when she was bound to become queen of her land, to gain responsibility, and to take off her gloves whether she liked it or not. She managed to maintain calm during her coronation, as she knew she had her gloves nearby to help her. But as she spent more time in the danger zone, meaning outside of her room and her comfort, she starts to feel a glimpse of that joy of living again, the joy and warmth she felt as a child. She is thrilled and scared to death in the same time, and she tries to maintain an outward calm. Although that inner joy fights to break through from inside of her, she stops it every time, as Elsa now grew up to believe she has the responsibility to keep her sister from getting hurt. Although deep inside she wanted to be with her sister, she stopped any thought of it, as for her this was equal with protecting her. The consequences of misunderstanding her power that grew roots in her childhood now grew up in that tree which was bound to break. Because she's put her sister in such danger once and never understood why, she now irrationally ended up believing that the only way to protect her sister was to hide her powers from her. Her reason for living was now keeping her loved one from getting hurt. And so, when her sister does something which might end up with her getting hurt, like marrying a man she just met, she loses her calm. She cannot comprehend that her sister can still get hurt after all the effort she has put in her life in order to protect her. What deeply affected Elsa in that moment and made her give up on the compulsion she maintained almost her entire life was that for the first time she had the thought that maybe all her efforts were in vain. It was all pointless. And this was not far away from truth. Elsa was a very powerful person, and her power came from her understanding of what is wrong and right. As long as she had a reason, she could do anything. Until then, as she stayed in her room, she had all the arguments to believe that she was the reason Anna will get hurt. And as long as she stays there, Anna is safe. Now she learns otherwise. She no longer has an argument to maintain her calm. Therefore, this is the moment where all that she kept inside had to come out. Now her powers became visible to everyone else, and the only thing she can do is to run away so that nobody can see her true self. She runs off to her mountain, in a place where she can feel understood. She knew the snow, and it felt like the snow knew her back, and it couldn't judge her. So in that place, where she was all alone with herself and stopped judging herself, she was able to take her gloves off. The gloves are an object that she can put on her hands. She still does that with her very own hands. She can always take them off. The gloves were the outer help that brought her calm in front of everyone else. Now, when her main reason of living was gone, it was as if a part of her died. That perfect girl was gone. She no longer needed to protect her sister, so now for once she could think of herself. For the first time after almost killing her sister, she could unleash her powers and see what she can create. And she was able to create a new self, a new home, and a new outtake on life. Now she was alone and free. And this was another lesson she was yet to learn. Now she had a taste of freedom, and she associated it with being alone on her mountain. But freedom itself means there's no restrictions. If her freedom could only be in her castle on the mountain, then Elsa was still not free. As Anna has seen her sister's struggle for the first time in her life, she can finally start putting the pieces together. Although she was shocked and angry because her sister kept everything for herself, for the first time in her life, she can start to understand her. And this came as a relief for Anna, who thought she must have been to blame if her sister never opened the door for her. Funny enough, the one thing that Elsa thought will hurt her sister, that is, showing her true self, was the one thing that brought relief and hope to Anna. As Elsa closed her door to her, Anna had to do the same thing all this time in order to cope with the situation. She could not force her sister to open up. She knew it would have made her uncomfortable. But seeing her sister for the first time for who she truly was gave Anna undreamed powers. She now did the unthinkable and went through the cold and blizzard her sister had created in order to reach her, because she had something to hold tight to, that one glimpse of truth when Elsa showed who she really was. That gave her comfort and encouraged her through all the cold she had to face in order to reach her sister. On her way there, she meets Olaf, a childish and funny snowman that likes warm hugs. He has absolutely no worries and gives love unconditionally. Elsa unconsciously created him as a sign of her love for her sister. Even if she was not there to make her happy like they once did as children, she sent her love to Anna through Olaf. And it had reached her and encouraged her through her dangerous journey that led to Elsa's castle. Olaf was all the things that Elsa could have been for her sister, but she never was, even though, deep inside, she really wanted to be. As they reach Elsa's castle, Anna is amazed by what her sister has created. She was amazed to see her sister as she owned her powers, and now that she gained some insight into what Elsa was going through, Anna could be honest, supportive, and compassionate. She offers help, but Elsa doesn't move an inch as she now associates her freedom with her solitude. Now Anna became a threat to her freedom, and when she makes step after step in order to reach her, she unleashes her power and hits Anna. Unlike in the past, when Elsa's powers only reached Anna's head, They have now reached Anna's heart, and even if Elsa didn't know, she now made all her fears come true. Not only that she hurt her sister, but she's put her in mortal danger. As a child, Elsa made a mistake that she didn't understand. She only meant to have some fun with her sister, and it all turned out wrong as she was too young to control her powers that easily. She had absolutely no intention of hurting anyone, and therefore she only hit Anna's head. It was something that could be fixed. But now she has hit Anna's heart. She did not truly want to do so, but Elsa's misunderstanding of her powers and uniqueness made her choose fear over love. She now believed that the only way to be free was to be alone. Elsa was a uniquely powerful person that had the ability to bring into being everything that she could think of. But just as she could create a wonderland and make her wildest dreams come true, she could also make her wildest nightmares come true if she put the energy into them. As she lingered more and more over the fear of hurting her sister, she made it happen. It couldn't have been otherwise. As Anna makes her way back, she finds out that her heart was slowly becoming frozen. This was the effect of the cold with which Elsa received her. As her warmth was returned with cold, this was the only natural thing that was bound to happen. This was not a natural state for Anna, who could only give her sister love. Holding that love inside her froze her heart slowly but surely. Meanwhile, Elsa has to face the world again as the people from her land come to get her. She attacks them as they threaten her freedom as well. But as she hears them saying she's a monster, this hits her to the core, as it was also the voice of her fears. She always thought she was unfit for this world, weird and dangerous. She was a person of arguments. Again, she could do anything if she knew it was right. So now she did the unthinkable and let down her god. Although outwardly she was more powerful than all the people that attacked her, they have hit her where it hurt the most, her guilt and shame. That guilt that she held ever since she was a child, that fear she never truly let go of. But she made the first step towards it. She wanted to let go of it. She was outwardly free, but not inwardly. And so, again, events came to her aid so that she could really understand her powers. As she gets back to her land, she now wears chains as a sign of her real inward state. She sees all the disaster she has caused, and she starts believing more and more the voice that tells her she is weird and a danger for everyone. But as she hears that Anna has not yet returned from her journey through the blizzard Elsa has created, her concern for her sister becomes greater than the fear she holds about her powers. She forgets about her problems and can only think of getting Anna to a place where she is safe. This helps her break her chains, and she becomes powerful again. Instead of focusing on what she can't do, she focuses on what she could, and the love she had for her sister was the drive that made it all possible. She went out to seek her. On a frozen lake, they meet, but cannot see each other. Hans, Anna's evil fiancé, now becomes the voice of Elsa's greatest fears. He tells her that Anna is now gone forever, dead because of her. With this, all of Elsa's power is gone. If all around her was a frozen storm, it now became a silent freeze. She became still and could now experience the fear she has helped come into being. She was responsible for the death of the only person she had left that she could love. In this state of deep sadness, she was able to receive a death blow from Hans, which was a death blow from the voice of her deepest fears. Yet, in that moment, Anna appears and steps up to protect her sister from the fears that were threatening to kill her. At the sight of this gesture, Elsa's whole being changes. She experienced guilt, shame, anger, feeling lost, feeling helpless, but now she experienced what true love really means. She started crying as she held her sister tight and finally let everything go, along with her tears. Little did she know, just showing her true self was the only thing that could help and protect her sister. When she truly let go of her guilt and her shame, which she outwardly showcased as pride, she was able to become her real self. And when she became her real self, automatically, Anna's heart became warm again, as they were no longer separated. And that was also when the storm inside has ceased, along with the outward one. Now she learned that the love she had could achieve things that were way greater than her fear. Love helped her regain control over her powers, and she was able to bring everything back to normal, to melt all the ice that kept everyone in danger. Elsa now learned that her powers were truly beautiful. She had the power in her hands to create an environment of fear as much as an environment of love. Now Elsa could be as free with her sister as she was when they were kids. She understood that she had a choice with everything she does, that nothing was set in stone, and this is where her true freedom came from.